Hi everyone. Today we have with us Mr. Luc Julia. He's very popularly known as the co-creator of Siri and is currently the chief scientific officer of Renault globally. Thank you, Mr. Julia, for giving us your time. We welcome you. Mr. Julia, in the past you have spoken, a lot about the winter of AI is coming, and you have been critical about how artificial intelligence is, the status quo of artificial intelligence as we see it today. Can we start by, taking your views on that before we do a deep dive?
Sure. Thank you for having me. Um, when I say, that artificial intelligence is not very intelligent, it's because I think that we have an issue with the name artificial intelligence, right? So when we talk about intelligence, we always compare those tools to ourselves. And I think that this is the mistake, right? Those tools are only tools that are going to be very good at what they are. So in very specific areas, they are going to be, better than us. This is the definition of a tool. But unfortunately, we always think that those things are going to be better than us in everything, and that we are going to have one artificial intelligence that is going to do everything and to beat us at everything. And so this is what, is not going to happen. And I call that Hollywood artificial intelligence, right? So the artificial intelligence of the movies, the one of Terminator, the one that we are scared of, or the one of the movie Her that we are falling in love with. I mean, those AIs do not exist. Okay, so we need to be careful to come back to what they are. They are not science fiction. They are science. And every single of those AIs, they are, very good at whatever they are meant for. And I always compare an AI to a hammer. It's exactly the same thing. I mean, a hammer is a tool that works very well, to drive a nail in the wall. But I can use the hammer as well, to hit your head. I can do it. I mean, nobody is going to prevent me to do it unless, the law is going to be, the stronger. And and so at the end of the day, I do have the handle of the hammer in my hand. And this is the exact same thing with the eyes. We have, the handle in our hands, and we decide what to do with them. So they can be good, they can be bad, but I mean, this is us who can be good or bad. So AI are tools that we manage, that we master the way we want.
You have been talking a lot, on these issues, and you are a generational leader. You have seen how artificial intelligence has evolved over a period of time. While you are critiquing it, 90% of the movement is in the direction which you are critiquing right now, right? A lot of people are pumping money into OpenAI. XAI recently raised a lot of billions of dollars. So do you think that your voice is being heard and it is going across the right channels? And what do you think the future of artificial intelligence looks like? I'll deep dive into AI in marketing, but I wanted to, get a sense of where your thoughts are on this.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that it's a mistake to enter the race because, I mean, today, the reality is that a lot of those big guys that you are talking about, they are in the race of bigger, 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 more data centers, more data, more compute. And I think it's a mistake because, I mean, we are in kind of a plateau in terms of data usage. I mean, we used those AIs, the big, LLMs, the big large language models, they used all the data basically. I mean, we produce data every day, so I mean, it's not really true, but the thing is that they used a lot of data already. So I mean, AIs, they cannot be better by just adding more data. I mean, this is not the truth, right? So we need to be very careful, and we need to look at the impact that AIs have on the environment, on our world, on the planet. And the reality is that, bigger, bigger, bigger means also, more impact. more data centers, and especially in the States, with the project Stargate, for instance, that is a $500 billion dollars project. I mean, it's just more data centers and data centers that are not going to be clean. It's more CO2, it's more usage of water, it's more everything. So I think that people all over the world, but in the States, they realize that, it's costing a lot. It's costing a lot of money, first of all, but it costs also, a lot of the environment. And so the young generation is starting to wonder if we should enter this race or if we should calm down a little bit. And the reality also, when I talk about the tools, and when I talk about specialized I mean, they are they need to be smaller. They need to be more frugal. And this is the reality. So when you ask, where I think AI is going towards, smaller little tools that are going to be, better at what they are doing instead of trying to do what they call, AGI, artificial
Hmm.
general intelligence. I think that we are going in more specialized. And when you say that the 90% of the trend is to go bigger, actually, I don't agree. I think that a lot of those AIs now, the people who are entering the AI field, they go into specialized AI. They go into smaller. They go in what they call, agentic AI. And agentic AI is actually, a lot of little agents that are those little, specialized AIs that are going to be orchestrated by, other AIs or something else that is going to help to do some very complex tasks, but that are going to use, much less resources in general with those smaller AI that are going to those agents.
Marketers today are, first of all, I wanted to say that we did a story, I think a couple of months ago, on how much electricity OpenAI is using. And if you convert it to, per megawatts usage per home, it can, empower and power so many millions of home in India. So I think you're very right when you say that, from a sustainability point of view and context, I think to modern AI is using a lot of energy that can be used put to better ways. So I think you're very right when you say that the future of AI is in segmented pockets and specific uses. I want to come to something which might be very relevant for our audience. You talked about agentic AI. Agentic AI, we are hearing that uh, tomorrow's buyer won't be present to buy a particular thing. It would be an agent on his or her behalf who would have mapped out his or her needs would be buying. Today's marketers want to map consumer psychology. They are doing a lot through, I was to empathy in AI, then personality engineering, etc. The CMO of Amdocs, I had a chance to talk to. He said that we are coining a term called personality engineering, where our intelligence systems are actually mapping out the consciousness of the customer. However, with the advent of agentic AI, would the marketers be really into delve into consumer psychology? And where do you think the whole AI and marketing ecosystem looks like right now?
I'm not a specialist of marketing, but I
I
mean,
understand. I understand. I understand.
I
That is why I asked in general.
I think that, we collective we are going to realize that those AIs, they are going to be more specialized. They are going to do something for us, so they are going to do something on our behalf. So
Hmm.
it means that, because of the orchestration that I was talking about, of the small agents, they are going to do some tasks that we would have done by ourselves. But when we are talking about consciousness, when we are talking about psychology of those AIs, we need to be very, very careful, because the reality is that we are going to stay in control. We need to stay in control of those AIs. So if they do something on our behalf, it's because we gave them the right to do it, right? They are not going to do things by themselves. I mean, for sure. I mean, they can do things by themselves if I ask them to do the things by themselves, right? So we need to be sure that the human is still going to be in a loop, and that they are not going to buy stuff just to buy stuff. So if I want to buy a computer and I want to have agentic AI, doing all the processes in order to buy a computer, I mean, it will buy a computer that I'm going to ask to buy with the price that I'm going to set and everything that I'm going to do, right? So somewhere, somehow, I will have to give the order of whatever it is. And after that, in the background, it can do whatever. So in terms of marketing, we are going to have also something, that are going to compete, some of the AIs that are going to compete in order to influence this process, so influence the agents themselves. So in order to say, look, I mean, I'm better than the guy here, and you should buy the computer from here and not from here. And that's fine. I mean, this is competition, and marketing is going to be automated as well somehow,
Hmm.
and to be part of this process of buying. And the agents, the agentic AI, will have to be intelligent enough with rules, basically, that are going to be logical rules that are going to say, okay, I can buy this thing, cheaper because this is what, the ads told me. But,
Hmm.
maybe we need to be careful because, there is a credit or there is something, I don't know what, right? So all those rules, all those issues that are going to be, basically the real world. I mean, it's going to be what agentic AIs are going to do, what the agents are going to do in order to achieve the tasks that I'm going to give them.
Since you are a leading voice, I also wanted to talk to you about the ethical concerns which are coming along with the advancement of AI. There are a lot of cases globally going on against, OpenAI, XAI, and especially in India as well, where news agencies have, put in because their crawlers have creeped in on all the websites, etc. Even a consumer's phone. So where do you stand on that? Do we need a global ethical framework? Because in India, when they asked OpenAI to fight against, they said we are an American-based company. We won't be able to fight it here in India. So do we need global laws, to tackle this issue?
Yeah, it's very complicated to have a global law. I mean, we see that with the United Nations, right? I mean, the United Nations doesn't really work, right? This is the reality. So it's very, very complicated to have a global law. So, but the reality also is that you need in India, we need in Europe, they need, in Asia, in Africa, to have their own laws, their own regulation in order to protect themselves from those big guys. The reality today is that the big guys, they're all from the west coast of the US, right? And so they are reflecting, if you will, like, a little American, right? And so it means that the answers are answers from an American. They are not answers from an Indian perspective. They are not answers from an African perspective. They are not answers from a European perspective. So more than laws, we need, to assume AIs that are going to be ours, right? That are going to answer like we would answer, so I mean, of course, regulation is important because we need to regulate, like I was talking about the hammer, at the beginning. I
Hmm.
mean, we need to be sure that we are not going to use the AI the wrong way. So we need to regulate for that. But we also need to create new AIs that are going to be more like our cultural biases. Because the reality is that, every single country, every single region have their cultural biases. And so we need to
Hmm.
assume that, and we need to just create those AIs. The thing is that creating AIs is complicated, but the good news is that creating smaller AIs, it's easier, right? So the new trend with the agentic AI is going to help for that. But, just to answer the question about the global thing, even though it's complicated, I mean, sometimes for some reasons, the world succeeds, to have world regulation, and it happened back, in the 60s, 70s, when nuclear weapons, were an issue between the USSR and the USA. I mean, they decided to have the SALT agreements, in the 80s. And so somehow it was a world regulation. Does it work? I mean, the reality is that we didn't blow up the planet, thanks to these agreements. So I think that somehow the humanity is able sometimes, when the danger is there, to have agreements on some very, very important issues. But, I mean, today when I see the state of the world, I'm not sure that it's very easy to do this kind of agreements.
Yeah, true. Easier in a bipolar setting than a multipolar world, such laws. I want to challenge your mind to the next question. What do you think, in Luc Julia's mind, is the worst case scenario of AI going out of hand? And what do you think is the best possible case scenario that we can really use AI for
You mean the best scenario for AI in general?
in general? And the worst possible use case that can come out if it goes out of hand.
Okay, so the good thing is that with those Gen AI and with agentic AI, I mean, it's so easy to use thanks to the prompt that it can be used in any domain. So this is the good thing, and this is the bad thing. This is a good thing because it's very easy to use. And this is a bad thing because it's very easy to use too, and everybody can do anything, and sometimes no very bad things. But the domains that are going to be impacted and that are going to be very interesting are, of course, the medical domain. So the
Hmm.
medical domain is going to, be helped a lot by those agents. You are going to
Yes.
have
Yes.
more and more assistance in
Yes.
medicine, and this is going to be incredible, and it's going to help a lot. It's not going to replace the doctors, right? It's not going to replace those guys. So we need to evacuate the idea of replacing human and be afraid of that. But it's going to help them to be better, right? So my definition, one of my definition of AI is augmented intelligence. It's going to help me, whatever I'm doing, to do things better, right? So I'm
Hmm.
going, intelligence is going to be augmented by those tools. And
Hmm.
so the medical domain is going to be very, very impacted and very interesting to help, in the world, to eradicate some diseases. So it's going to happen. And some other domains, and of course, where I'm working today in transportation, basically, I believe that it's going to help also. I mean, in Europe, it's not the case in other countries, in other parts of the world, but in Europe, the population is getting older and older. So it's getting more and more difficult to move around. So some of those, transportation AIs are going to help people to move around, even though, they cannot drive by themselves, for instance. So this is the kind of thing that is going to be also interesting. But the most impact is going to be in medicine.
Yes, reminds me of this case which happened a couple of months ago, wherein pregnant woman, doctors couldn't diagnose the disease, and she was, you know, uh, she was, her health was deteriorating day after day, and somehow OpenAI helped doctors find the diagnosis, etc., and she could be saved. I think it was all over the headlines globally. Another question, interestingly, which comes to my mind is you have been very, very vocal and critical about Apple, uh, since past few years, and you were at the helm of the company. Of course, when you co-created Siri, if you had to get a chance to be back at Apple today, what would the changes that the Luc Julia understanding of Apple would make, and the back in the days when you worked with Mr. Jobs, what would be the changes that you would recommend?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not really in position to give any advices there, right? But the reality is that it's disappointing. I mean, it's disappointing. We had a dream. I mean, the dream of Siri back in the 90s, right? A long time ago. The dream of
Hmm.
Siri was to have a conversational AI. Because of the technology and because of, what happened at the time,
Hmm.
Siri, when it was released in 2011, wasn't really conversational. It was one shot. Basically, you were saying something and it was answering, and that was about it. Now, with all those Gen AI, we see conversation. Thanks to the prompt that I was talking about, the prompt allows you to converse with those AIs. So we have conversational AIs now. So it's not acceptable after 3 years, basically, that the new Siri is not conversational. And so if I was going there, I would try to accelerate, this technology, basically. I mean, Apple is always a little bit late in adopting the new technologies. This is the reality. When it's not coming from them, they are kind of worried or, taking their time. It happened already in 2014 when deep learning, came into,
Yes.
was there. I mean, Apple, was slow to adopt deep learning. And they adopted it only, in 2017, 3 years later. And this is exactly what is happening right now with Gen AI, right? So Gen AI is now, 2022. We're in 2025, and we still didn't see, anything there. And the release in 2025 is not going to be there. But I think that in 2026 we'll have a real conversational Siri, and it's going to, I think, to happen there. So it's disappointing. I would try to push, a little bit more to do something that is using LLMs, that is using maybe SLM, that are going to be more local and that are going to still use this conversation, because what is very, very interesting in the LLMs and in the Gen AI is the prompt and is the conversation.
Very interesting. You say that Siri back in the day could have been the OpenAI that is today. I mean, that's revolution. It couldn't happen, sadly, but well. Last couple of questions. I know we are nearing the end of this, interview. You are at the helm of the power centers globally, talking about technology and AI. So apart from agentic AI, what do you think is the next stride that we are seeing in the evolution of intelligence and technology?
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit bold what I'm going to say, right? But I think that LLM and even SLM, even the small language models, they are dead. I think they are dead because they are not sustainable. Even though they are small, even though, the small agents that I was talking about, are going to be more frugal, they are still going to use too much resources, right? Too much water, too much electricity. So, so I think that the next thing is that we are going to have to look at what we did in the past 70 years and try to hybrid, all the technologies that we have been using for the past 70 years and try to do something that is not using any energy, right? So it's difficult to say any, but I mean, much less energy, something that is going to be more sustainable in general. So I believe that the next generation of AI is not going to be something like LLM or SLM. It's not going to be Gen AI. We are going to try to keep the concepts, in the sense that conversational is good. I mean, the prompt was interesting. So the easiness of usage, the usability is very good. But we need to have something that is more sustainable, that is using less resources. So the next generation is going to maybe look, at what we did 50 years ago with the logical AI instead of the statistical AI, and try to hybrid that, with the two of them. So maybe it would be something like that. Some people like Yann Lequin, they are, using some other ideas. They also believe that Gen AI is dead, and that we are going to go towards more, reasoning in AI. And the reasoning of AI means, somehow, somewhere, also some more logical, AI in the process. So I think that is going to be pretty fast. I mean, in the next maybe 2 5 years, we are going to have a new generation of AIs that are going to be much more frugal and that are going to be much more sustainable, but without being bad. I mean, without being worse. So they are still going to be better than what we have today, because this is what evolution is about, right? This is always better than the previous generation.
Thank you so much, for giving us your time. I think it is close to midnight there, or probably
Yeah, close to, yes.
close to midnight. No, exactly. I won't take much of your time. May you have a very good night's sleep. And we'll put this interview online. We'll do a transcription. We'll do a video, and we'll send it to you across. Before we go, any advice for young companies which are coming into the world of artificial intelligence, especially in India, young entrepreneurs, young startups? Of course, you are talking about segmented AI, you are talking about agentic AI. Anything else you would want to, give advice to them?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't like to be in the position of giving advices, to look like I know everything and so on. But I mean, the reality is that AI today, all those AIs, they are mathematics, right? So if you want to create or to use I mean, do the basic mathematics, right? Understand the basic mathematics. So this is the very first thing to do. And then, when you want to, if you want to go into the field of I mean, choose a place, choose a domain that is going to be, needing it, and that is going to have, some impact in terms of, a better way to use the tools in this very domain. So that's what I would recommend, is to choose some very impactful things to create the agents, to create the AIs that are going to be in those domains. What we need to be careful about, and specifically, with the new generation, is not to give up the skills. Because I hear a lot, the AI is going to do it for me. No, the AI is not going to do anything for you. So the AI is going to help you in the specific domain sometimes, but be sure that you master the domain. So don't give up on education. Don't give up, on learning jobs, because you are going to need to know the job before the AI helps you to do it.
True. One last thing, very short. What's the next for Luc Julia himself?
I don't know. We'll see. Future is always complicated. So that's what is exciting too. So it changes every day.
So, words of the wise. A lot of people might call you cynic, but I think there is a lot of respect for you, for the leader you are, and the way you put out your points, and you are very also down to earth and humble. Of course, a lot of people out there would want to, get mentored by you, seek advice from you. Thank you, Mr. Julia, for giving us your time. It was an honor for us to be, interviewing you from here in India. And, we wish to meet you also in person whenever you are here. Whenever we are there, we'll, of course, get in touch with you. Thank you so much again for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.